This is going to be our second session. So thank you so much for being here with us on our second session, which is going to be on a very specific and one of the newest trends, let's say, in data management, which is called DataOps. And we're very happy to have speakers from a Tunisian company, which is called Datagram, with Tunisian founders and Tunisian team, but which were too busy building their products and working on with their clients. And now they're going to open up to us and talk to us about what they are currently working on. So I'm going to give the, first of all, I want to thank the speakers, which are Mohamed Ali Ben Alea and Yasmin Shelli from Datagram. And then you might now ask, so what is PyData? Because we didn't communicate a lot on PyData, we just like spoofed out of nowhere. So basically, PyData is an international community of Python and data science specialist people, enthusiasts, and it's been a movement for a couple of years now. There are PyData communities in more than 66 countries. Tunisia is one of the latest ones, which I don't know why and how, but it's put in the middle of the sea with their GPS. I have no idea why. With more than 176,000 members. Now with the Tunisian, if we count the 300 people from Tunisia, we are at 177,000. So what we do basically is very simple. We do workshops, we host sessions, we host meetups, Q&A sessions, and those sessions can be in place before coronavirus or online, like now we're doing now. And most of the sessions are recorded and then uploaded on the official PyData YouTube channel, where you can find every single session, mostly from every PyData community. So we're going to try to push PyData Tunisia's content onto the main channel, as to show people that we have Tunisian competence in Python and data science. All right. So the good thing is that when we first made the first session, like in two months ago in February, PyData Tunisia has just started, and we had 199 members at the time, where we talked about Fast API and how to deploy machine learning models with Fast API, not only about machine learning. And the good thing is that just by pushing from that and pushing the second session, we are now up to 297 members. And I just checked, we are now 298 members. If you can find 2 more members to follow this, follow the group, then I can make a post and send this to the PyData community to say, hey, we got 300 members in less than 2 sessions. This is going to be awesome. And the thing is that we at PyData Tunisia, when I say we, I mean, of course, the whole team. We are 4 people. We are 3 co-founders. I'm the main organizer, the main founder of PyData Tunisia, and Sayed and Hisham are my co-organizers. We chose ourselves because simply those 2 people are Python addicts. So I thought these are the best people to work on this. And Mahmoud Ibrahim, he's our designer, our main designer. And why not you? So we are always looking for more co-organizers to help us, either be it to find more speakers or to host sessions like I'm doing right now, or even to make content for the Tunisian YouTube channel. And so with this team, we only managed to make 1 session per month. But if we had 1 or 2 more co-organizers, we could make more sessions per month, or we could work on distributing this the tasks. So if you are interested in joining the community, then please give me send me a text. All right, so this team, and what we want to achieve with PyData Tunisia is that we want to offer high quality and high level. When I say high level, I don't mean simple, but I mean very advanced topics. We don't want to work on the intros to sessions. We want to go now to the next level and introduce advanced and, let's say, niche concepts in Python and data science. And that's what we want to go in. We want to now up the level. The thing is that we now have a lot of Python and machine learning and data science enthusiasts and the big community in Tunisia, but we still lack very advanced sessions. Most of the sessions are still in introduction too, but now we want to go further into more advanced things. So that's what we want to achieve with PyData Tunisia. And since we work on Tunisia, we do want to showcase Tunisian talent, either be it by Tunisian engineers, Tunisian researchers, Tunisians who worked on open source contributions, Tunisian libraries. So if you are a Tunisian and you have some content that you want to share with us, so please also give me a call or a text and we might arrange that. So that being said, that was just a small introduction about PyData Tunisia. And now let's go on to the main event where I will ask Mohamed Ali Ben Alaya and Yasmin Shali to take it from here.
Okay, so I will share my screen. Dali, do you want to share your screen or should I do it?
No, go ahead, Yasmin. Thanks.
Okay.
And thanks, Elias, for this introduction. It's always a pleasure to be in a PyData event, and I hope this initiative will endure and will get bigger and bigger because we really need it in Tunis. I always feel like when I look at the ecosystem, the data ecosystem in Tunis, I always feel like that we need more events, more groups and ways to share our experience, and it's a whole ecosystem to be built. So today, guys, we are going to talk about DataOps. So most of you, I guess, worked on several data projects, and like most of us, you have been, I guess, subject to data quality, data transformation, data visualization stuff. If that's the case, well, then this talk is really for you guys, and you should really stay until the end because we have some really cool stuff to show you. So at Datagram, we are working on hundreds of data pipelines in a big data environment. And we learned, thanks to that, invaluable lessons, sometimes the hard way, and also many tricks and tips we want to share with you tonight. So quick presentation about Datagram. We are a data company focused in e-commerce analytics. So basically, we have a big database. When I say big database, it's like dozens of terabytes of data. We collect on every data source on the retail industry. So we have data from manufacturers, brands, from retailers, e-commerce websites, and all kinds of web and public data we can crawl with our bots. So we constituted this mega database, and on that platform, we are able to provide our customers advanced data analytics technologies to help them execute their e-commerce strategy. Most of our customers are having sustained performances in their sales efficiency, from 5 to 10% growth on average. So what we are selling is really working. Thanks, Yasmin. So our mission at Datagram is really simple. It's to help retailers and manufacturers in their digital transformation and to become the one-stop shop platform for retail analytics. And our whole team is really focused. I mean, every day, it's our main focus is to always push the boundaries, push the limits of what's available in the market. We see ourselves like innovators in our industry, and we developed a lot of groundbreaking technologies so far. And I hope you will follow us in the future because we have really cool stuff that we are going to, start sharing with the community as open source packages.
If I may just interrupt a second, I just want to remind everyone that in these sessions we do not have a long Q&A session at the end. We don't have that. So ask your questions as you progress. So if you have a question about the Datagram company as what they do, you're free to ask them now in the chat, and then each slide you can ask a question in the chat, and I will then interact with the speaker. So don't wait until the end. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Elias. So we also wanted to share with you our values, because without our values, we are nothing. And we really, I mean, these values really distinguish us from other companies. So we really wanted to share that with you. The first value. At Datagram, our relationships are based on trust, first with our customers, by providing them with quality data and operational excellence on our platform, as well as our strategic recommendations. And second, and most importantly, with our employees, whom we give big responsibilities and a flexible working environment. And I want to focus the flexible working environment part, especially in the pandemic and the last year we spent, I mean, working from home. I mean, you can imagine that working from home can really put a stress on the trust between you and your employer. At Datagram, we really trust each other, so that transition wasn't painful at all. Collaboration. The power of Datagram lies in its ability to rely on the qualities and competence of each Datagrammer to always raise its level of excellence. It also lies in working closely with our customers to build real strategic partnerships to push the boundaries of e-commerce analytics. And finally, ambition. The aim is to gain and to help our customers gain while anticipating the fluctuation of the market and the advanced technologies of tomorrow. It's the will to achieve this goal that fuel our Datagrammers. So, some cool stuff. Here is a quick overview of our data stack. So you can recognize some technologies you may know. The thing with Datagram is that we are a distributed team of people passionate about data, tech, and retail. So we have three major disciplines intersecting here. We have big data, data science, and data analytics. The first is the realm of data engineers. Big data is really a job for data engineers. You can think of technologies like Spark, Kafka, Cassandra, for example. It's a whole universe. We can have a talk for hours and days around big data. So many cool stuff to share. The second discipline we have at Datagram is data science. So we use a lot of technologies like machine learning, deep learning to enrich our customers' data and go beyond anything possible in terms of reporting and insights. And the third discipline is data analytics, which is a crossing between business analytics, DataOps, software development, DevOps. So it's a lot of stuff like a combination, a mix of many disciplines in IT, and having all these data sources at Datagram is for us a tremendous opportunity, because it allows us to push every day to develop new technologies that are able to handle all this load, all this data, and in real-time mode. So that's our daily priorities and daily challenges at Datagram. So today we are going to talk about DataOps, which is a cool methodology that you will hear about it, I guess, many times from now on, because it's a trending topic. And I will explain to you why it's very trending at the moment. And then I will give the opportunity to Yasmin to show you a real-world example of how to implement this DataOps methodology. So, thanks, Yasmin. So, many of you have heard the term digital enterprise world. A new era began. It's the era of data-driven companies. And in this era, data is consumed like fuel on a car. To use your car, you need gas. Same goes for the modern companies. They need data to run. So here's the trick. To have this gas continuously flowing, you need an oil refinery, right? Like something to create a continuous flow of gas. Same goes for data. You need systems and pipelines that continuously generate quality data, real-time data. And that's where DataOps come in handy.
Okay, thank you, Dali. So now that you know why we use the DataOps, I think we should move on to understand what is DataOps and how did the concept emerge. Well, we can't really talk about DataOps without mentioning the other famous ops, which is DevOps, or development operations. This concept emerged in 2018, and the first DevOps event called DevOps Days was held in Belgium in 2019. This is a software development approach that accelerates the build life using automation. This process ensures continuous integration and continuous delivery of software by automating integration, test, and deployment of code, which reduces time to deliver software. However, DataOps process is a bit different. Optimizing code and delivery is only one small part of DataOps. DataOps actually seeks to reduce the end-to-end cycle of data analytics. As you can see here, the DataOps process requires more than just development, testing, and deployment. It also requires orchestration and monitoring. Well, what do we mean by that? It actually means that in addition to developing workflows, we must also work on orchestrating them, meaning we must schedule and control them. And in most cases, you need to orchestrate the data twice. As you can see here, we have two orchestration steps. First, in order to collect it, and the second orchestration step is used in order to transform the data. Then the final step is to monitor this data to ensure that certain tasks don't fail. It is also important to say that in order for this process to work, we must rely on people in addition to tools. In order for DataOps to work, it must manage collaboration and innovation. To summarize all this, we can state that DataOps merges agile development with data analytics to make sure that data teams and users work together and collaborate well. So as you can see here, DataOps is not just DevOps for data. Actually, the process of DataOps is very different from DevOps. If we can highlight this in three different ways. Things like for DevOps teams, these teams are made of software engineers, system engineers, and quality engineers. However, DataOps teams are made of data engineers, scientists, stewards, and analysts. DevOps is a process that works on delivering software. However, DataOps is a process that works on delivering data analytics. And of course, quality assurance in DataOps versus DevOps is very different. In DevOps, we work on code reviews and we do continuous testing. However, in DataOps, we do something called data governance and process control. For those of you who heard the term data governance for the first time, it is the process of making sure that the data we have is continuous, it's authentic, and and it's valuable. So let's have a deep dive into one of the tools used in DataOps. This tool is called Airflow. So Airflow or Apache Airflow is an open source platform to author, schedule, and monitor workflows. This means that this tool in particular, we use it to orchestrate workflows. It was created at Airbnb, and it became a part of Apache Software Foundation, and it helps you create workflows using Python. So the main and the first concept we're going to talk about when it comes to Airflow is called DAGs, or directed acycled graphs. Directed because there is an inherent flow representing dependencies in this graph. Is acycled because these kind of graphs, they do not loop, and the last letter, which is G, it just means graph, and I think all of you by now know what graph means. The picture you see here is a small DAG. The DAG is all the steps together. The small boxes you can see here are called tasks, and the collection of these tasks organized in a sequence, in a very specific sequence, is what we call a DAG, or a directed acycled graph. It's a hard name. So creating a DAG in Python is not that hard at all. You just have to look at the code on left. You just have to define the default arguments, specify the DAG ID, and of course you need to schedule the DAG. The DAG is something that is it's not something that always runs. These types of workflows have to run in specific times. For an example, if you look at here, we have a scheduled interval. This interval actually means that this DAG must work daily, and it has a timeout of 60 minutes. I think it must work daily each hour, something like that. Yes, Dali, you have something to add?
No. Please go ahead.
There are actually questions in the chat.
Yeah, I'm gonna answer that. You can continue, Yasmin. Thanks.
Okay. So the small boxes that you saw earlier in the DAG, those are called tasks. And to further understand tasks and what tasks actually mean, actually there are two types of tasks. There are what we call operators and what we call sensors. For operators, we can consider them as transformation steps, meaning they take the data in one form and they output data in another form. Transformations can be things like unions, can be joins, can be many things. They can be like data cleaning steps or something like that. However, sensors are also operators, but they are a special operator. This kind of operator or this kind of task, the sensor task, is something that is used to block tasks until a certain criteria is met. Like, let's say, for an example, we can use a sensor to make sure that every time we load a CSV file, it can verify that now we have a CSV file, or we have some kind of file in our database. It's just something that verifies a certain step. And every time we run or we schedule the DAG, we make something that is called a task instance. A task instance is actually a task that is running at a point in time. So creating a task in Airflow can be done in many different ways and using many different operators. The two kind of operators we use in Datagram are Python operators and Bash operators. Python operators can be written this way, as you can see here. You can just write a simple function like print me or anything. And in the task, you can just define something called a Python callable and put the name of the function there. And this task will execute this method, not function, this method. However, when it comes to a Bash operator actually is executed using Bash commands, like, I don't know, any Bash command you can think of. Like you see here, for an example, this Bash command, its purpose is to write like example 2. So, and as we said, these operators or these tasks must have dependencies between them, meaning we must have a specific order when we create a DAG. Let's say, for an example, the dependencies actually define a given order. And they are not really required in a workflow, but they are usually present, because that's the whole purpose of creating a DAG, is that you want to execute tasks in a specific order. And Airflow 1.8 and later dependencies are defined using bit shifts, or you can define dependencies using something called upstream and downstream. For an example, let's say you want to execute this Python task, the one we saw earlier, and then execute the second one after it. So all you have to do is like write Python task, and as you can see here, it's defined. Its ID is called Python task. So all you have to do is just write Python task and write the bit shift and then write bash task. This way, the Python task will be executed before the bash task.
Just before we continue, I think there's a good question in the chat that I think deserves that we discuss it in audio with everyone.
Okay.
It's so Hossein said, why do we need all of this, transformers or sensors? Like, why do we need all of these workflows? How can they help us in our work? And what problems like do they help us address instead of just doing our own things? So I think this is interesting because at the same time we have like 10 new people that just came. So I think just a small 2-minute, like 2 to 3 minute explanation would be awesome.
It's a great question, Hossein. Why do we need this methodology in our workflow? If we go back to our introduction, we talked about the data-driven era we are living in. So most companies today rely on real-time data, fresh data, quality data. To achieve that goal, you really need to achieve something that's called automation. You need to automate all your tasks. And the hardest part about automating workflows with data is that data is continuously changing, and it's very hard to, I mean, when you look at DevOps is not that hard actually to control, to maintain, because code is code. I mean, it doesn't change that much. It's a discrete process, whereas data can be very overwhelming. It can change a lot. It can break. So it's very, very hard to maintain a pipeline, a very healthy pipeline. Imagine if your company needs a data, like some sensitive data, and imagine if your company really needs the data every hour, and you need like 100 gigabytes of that quality data every hour. I mean, you cannot improvise it. You really need to build a strong, robust pipeline with a lot of, sensors and transformation steps and a retry logic if some stuff fails, and high availability stuff. And we'll talk about some of the tricks to build an effective pipelines later in another slide. But the thing with DataOps is that it will give you the framework to deploy all your business logic and be able to sleep very well at night without wondering if your colleagues in business or finance will have issues with their dashboard. So yeah, it's about automating stuff, really.
Yes, it's important to understand that data is a moving target. It always changes, it always grows, and you must have a pipeline to support this moving target, to like follow it and always be able to extract useful information from it, useful analytics from it. Okay, thank you, Dali, and thank you for the question. So let's continue. The picture you see in here is the actually Airflow's UI. Airflow's UI is very easy to understand. You can find practically anything you need in an Airflow UI. You can see here, you can find the graph view. You can also see like a tree view of the DAG you have. You can see the code. You can see every detail. And once you run this type of DAG, for an example, you will have indicators of each step. Like if the step has executed successfully, it will be green. If it failed, it will be red. And this way you can like find exactly the step of the pipeline or the step of the workflow that did not work. And you can very much like spot the problem. You can spot the exact source of the problem. For an example, the DAG you see in here is something that can be used in real life. Let's say we have two data sets. We're going to use them to predict something. For an example, we can say we have a data set that has products and brands, and we want to predict their category. For an example, of course, we need an AI model or a machine learning model for this. But first of all, we need to clean these two data sets. So we get these data sets, we remove the null values in the columns or the rows. We also must pass a normalization step. We have to like lowercase or something like that, and then we can use something that we talked about earlier, which is called the bash operator. This bash operator can actually call a predict.py script, and this predict.py script can predict what we want, which is a category or any type of other information that we can later transform into useful analytics. So for the Airflow best practices, I think I should leave you with the expert here. So Dali, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Yasmin. Just a quick some tricks and tips we learned along the way, and we wanted to share that with you. If you are already using Airflow, maybe these tricks will help you guys. The first one is architecture trick. When you build a pipeline, always be thinking about the case where your pipeline will fail. So our first tip for you guys is idempotency. Idempotency is the ability of a DAG to run many times without changing its state. So if it fails, you can just rerun it and it won't break anything else. So it's very important to have idempotency in your thinking, because you have to always assume that your pipeline will break at some point. You will have an event like exceptional stuff. It will always happen. It's the Moore's law. So when it can fail, it will fail at a certain point. So that's our first tips for you guys. Second one is to always do retries. I mean, there is no pipeline, data pipeline in no company that will succeed always at every run, every day for a certain period. So you have to always implement logic where you have to retry your script, your pipeline, if it fails. So that's the second tips for you guys. The third one, we call it record filtering. This is a very detailed trick. It's really about the way you manipulate your data. When possible, always try to work on incremental data rather than all your data. Always be looking for the small changes. I mean, it's like Git. When you look at Git, the source control tool, Git between two states, and it always look for the incrementality. For data, it goes the same. If you want to be, very efficient in your pipelines, always try to run your script and your processes on the incremental rather than on every row of your dataset. And the last tip for you guys is about the size of the data and the way to handle big loads. I think we had a question. I think it's Jafar. He asked the question about the bash scripts. It's one of the tricks of Airflow. Bash scripts are very handy because it allows you to run a task just by running the bash script associated, rather than running the Python code inside the DAG file Yasmin showed you earlier. So imagine you have like 100 gigabytes to analyze. You cannot analyze that data inside the DAG file because it will completely destroy the Airflow worker, I mean the executor that's running the task. You cannot do that. So you have to look for a distributed environment, like with a lot of containers or a lot of pods or a lot of servers working together. And from there, you build a script that will control all that distributed system. And then with just the bash operator, you call that little script. So it won't destroy the worker because the script will be executing in the distributed environment and not in the Airflow worker. And that's, I think, the biggest trick for those of you guys who are handling big data.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Dali. So let's conclude. So far, we talked a lot about why we use DataOps. So let's talk about the benefits, the real practical benefits. Actually, using DataOps, it provides real-time data insights, meaning each day or in a certain amount of time, we have new data insights, we have new data analytics. It's not data analytics, not something that is static. It must be always generating. And the second benefit is that it reduces the cycle of time of data science applications. Of course, if we reduce the cycle of obtaining data, of cleaning data, and stuff like that, we can always reduce the cycle of time of data science applications. The third is that it enables better communication and collaboration. We talked a little bit earlier about how we test things in DataOps. Actually, testing in DataOps is a bit difficult because it's a continuous operation. It's continuous, and the person in charge of testing must always collaborate with the customer. It must always collaborate with the data engineers and data science teams to give them feedback, and the feedback must be very specific, and it must be given like always. It must be given like daily. And the fourth is that it builds reproducible processes and reusable code. The DAGs or the Airflow or the workflows that we use, they can be reproduced, and they can be used in many other operations. Sometimes you have like operations that can work with very similar workflows, so we can use the same code. The DAG code itself is reusable. Actually, the DAG file, when you're going to define a DAG file and its files and its tasks, it must always be in one file. So it's not actually a lot of code, and it's very understandable, and it's very like reusable. And finally, it actually ensures higher quality of data. As we talked about earlier, Airflow and tools like this, they allow us to monitor data and test it, to always like test it. So of course, this actually helps us to ensure higher quality data. And we thought we should ask you guys a question this time. Do you think DataOps is the only process used in data analytics? Anyone?
I think the question feels too obvious. I don't know if I should answer, say yes or no. I think there's a trap.
We have some ideas with Yasmin. We can share that with you guys.
Yes.
So maybe Yasmin, we can talk about MLOps.
Yes. So actually, DataOps is not the only process used in data analytics. In addition to providing good data workflows and good data quality, we also must provide good data models, modeling or data models, deep learning models, machine learning models are a big thing right now. I think everyone in Tunisia by now wants to be a data scientist, looking in LinkedIn and stuff like that. And data science has moved from a domain that like data scientists before used to provide a different an update for a model or something like that in 3 months, let's say, or in 4 months. Now it can be automated. Building machine learning models can also be automated, not just building data models. And I think it's a very interesting topic, and it's a good process to also follow when we are working in data analytics or in providing data for customers.
And if I may add some thoughts to that, the real thing with MLOps is that it was born with the need of automating the deployment of ML models, because most of the data scientists, I guess most of you guys have already built a model. You know, when you train your algo on some data, when you validate the stuff with your team and you want to go in production, that's where the problems show up. And MLOps is a new discipline. It's more like, it's like DataOps. It's a methodology, actually. And it helps you guys smooth the deployment of machine learning models and the continuous deployment, actually, of machine learning models, because, as you know, you always need to retrain the models and redeploy and retrain and redeploy, and you cannot have regressions, and you need, you know, some you know, securities like retries and availability, and so this new discipline was invented to help the data scientists in their jobs, because most of the data scientists, when they find themselves in a prod environment, I mean, most of their job is about you know, pushing models in the cloud, synchronizing with VMs, retraining. It's not about the modelization or the, you know, the real core value of the data scientist, which is about modeling the data and choosing which model will be adapted to the business case you are trying to solve. So I think it's
Hello?
is a new methodology. It's worth. Yep, Yasmin.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, we hear you, Yasmin. So so MLOps is a new discipline that's gonna get, I mean, more and more operational and used by more and more data scientists as most data science projects goes to the production mode. Because, as you know, most of the data science projects always fail before going to production. I read a statistic the other day. 20% of all data science projects go to production. So 80% of data science projects never go to production. So it's always like, I mean, the data scientist is, you know, playing with the model and the data and show the result to the rest of the team, to the boss. And in most of the cases, it never goes past the deployment. So as more and more companies are deploying ML models in production, MLOps is getting very trendy. Yeah, I guess here at Datagram we are kind of you know really fond of that new discipline because we had to find, you know, ways to smooth our processes and make it more efficient. And we might share with you guys in the coming weeks or months some cool stuff about MLOps and how we handle that in at Datagram.
Yes, and also may I add the code for the DAG that you see that you saw earlier will be shared with you guys on GitHub in addition to this presentation.
Awesome. So I guess that for the presentation part, you will finish your presentation, right? Can I assume
yes.
that?
Thank
Perfect.
you. Yes.
All right. Perfect. In that case, since we still have time, we still have 10 minutes till we make an hour, I think let's go for a full-fledged Q&A session. And while the people in the chat are still thinking about questions, I already have 2 questions that can start the conversation and give them some ideas. So the first one I would like to ask is, is data versioning part of the DataOps pipeline? Like when you as time flows, the data set will change. You will have a new source, a new feature. You will find out that you don't need this feature anymore. You do some transformations, and so as time passes, the model itself will train on a new version of data. But then you find that version number 6 has regressed in performance compared to version number 4. So I have to go back to version number 4. So is all of this data versioning also in the DataOps field, or is it a different part?
It's an excellent question, Elias. In the industry, we call that data lineage. It's like applying Git to data, actually. So imagine if we are able to log every modification on our data in a timeline view. It's like a Git for data. We could really improve our processes and able to roll back. If we have an issue with new data, we can roll back. Imagine if you are applying a deep learning model on some raw data, and after the 10th iteration, you discover that, I mean, it's catastrophic. You cannot go further with that, so you have to roll back. So data lineage is a really cool discipline that's getting really trendy these past few months. And personally, I'm waiting for the first robust data lineage database that we can use in production, because here at Datagram we have this problem. I mean, like there are times we need to roll back to a previous version of our data, and so far I didn't find a robust technology that can help us do that. So we invented something at Datagram. We invented like a kind of, you know, a special schema with timestamps, and we managed to go to use the SQL, the classic SQL database technologies, and modify it to be able to do this kind of you know, log and Git features like, but it's really heavy. And if we can, you know, tomorrow use a technology that's only focused on that and does it well, I mean, for us, it will be a game changer. And I guess for many companies. So yeah, it's a really hot topic, data lineage. You have there's a lot of startups. When you look at the startups in the Silicon Valley, the companies that are raising money today, I mean, most of them are companies focused on the quality of the data. So you have data lineage, you have monitoring, you have orchestration, you have many, you know, many categories of technologies, but they are all focused on data quality. And data lineage, I think, is the less advanced topic right now, and it really needs, you know, some cool stuff, because it's really, really painful when you have to deal with data and you iterate on it. At a certain point, you cannot, I mean, you get, you know, paralyzed. You cannot go further in your projects.
All right, thank you so much for answering this, because yeah, data lineage is one of the things that I've been like poking around in the last couple of weeks, and it's interesting that you said we're waiting for a robust thing to come up. It's still like mashing up, and nothing mature has yet appeared. So the second question is the one that always gets asked at each session, so I'm going to do it for the people here. It's the typical, where should I start? Like, where can I start if I want to learn DataOps? Like, I heard for the first time DataOps today. I saw a couple of names earlier with the Apache suite, but really, what are the first steps I should take to test this field and see if it's for me or not? Like, is it Airflow? Should I start with a 1-hour session about Airflow, or should I check something else?
Yasmin, do you want to answer that?
Yes, sure. I actually started the DataOps earlier this year. So yeah, I'm new too. First of all, I started with Spark, with Apache Spark. I think Spark is a really good tool to use to like learn in general, even if you are a software engineer or you are a data scientist. Spark is a really good tool to use. Then learning Airflow, it was a little bit natural because I already understood what DAGs mean. I understood many concepts from Spark. So yeah, understanding Airflow, it made sense because I know what tools like Spark and big data tools actually do. If you want to start, there are lots of cool resources online. I think I tried a lesson or two online from DataCamp, from blogs on Medium. There are plenty of resources, and there are plenty of like videos and stuff like that. Also, all these tools Spark and Airflow, they are open source, so I think you can actually try them. You can try them out. So yeah, start with open source tools. Start with available tools.
I will add some thoughts to that. I will insist on the open source side of the equation, because really, if you wanna, find a lot of resources on the internet, you have to go for the open source technologies. About what Yasmin said earlier, for me, if I had to start from scratch, if I had to, learn everything from scratch, if I'm new to this, I would go for the basics like Python, of course, Pandas, scikit-learn, SQL, because many people are not expert in SQL, but SQL is very, very important in the data field. So if I had to learn, I would start from that, and then some technologies, like Yasmin said about Spark, some technologies are very focused on big data, like Spark, but it's really interesting to know them, because these technologies will open up new boxes in your brain. I mean, it will show you new paradigms of how computer. How the new technologies in computer science are solving different kinds of problems. And for example, in Spark, what's really interesting about it is that it solves a big data problem with a simple concept, which is called MapReduce. So it splits all the load in very small tasks. And so when a task is small, it can be executed very fastly. And then you aggregate the results and you get your end result. So that's a concept, MapReduce, that's recurrent in many technologies, in Hadoop, in many stuff. You can find this concept of MapReduce. So Spark is like a cool tool to know nowadays, but above that, it's really important to learn the concept behind it. And I would say about Airflow, in terms of difficulty, it's really easy compared to Spark, for example. Like Spark is like, Airflow is like 1, Spark is like 15 in terms of complexity. So don't be afraid of learning Airflow. Airflow is one of the easiest tool I know, frankly. In DataOps, it's one of the easiest tool, because you have a simple Python script. You add your tasks, your functions, and then you can add the tasks upstream and downstream, and you add the retries. It's really, really well conceived, and it's very efficient, and you don't have a lot of customization to do. It's not like, because Spark, the difficulty with Spark, for example, is that you have a lot of small configuration to do and small parameters, and you really have to be an expert in Spark documentation. You really have to know every stuff in Spark API to be able to customize it to your needs and to your workload, and that demands a lot of time and experience. And whereas Airflow is really straightforward, and and the result.
The UI in Airflow is really easy to understand.
Yep, and the result is really awesome, because when you deploy your first pipeline on the cloud using Airflow, it's like really awesome, because every day that goes, you save time and you save energy, because you don't have to take care of things anymore. I mean, stuff is deployed, it's automated. If anything bad happens, you will get a notification by email. You have, you know, email alerts if something goes bad. So you can focus on something else rather than, you know, checking and monitoring your scripts.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for the explanation and for the links too. So I hope that you can find I hope that you did, everyone, catch the names of Airflow and Apache, and if not, no problem. I will add some links in the PyData Tunisia Meetup event, so you can find the links in the description to these open source technologies. So with this, we made
Elias, I wanted to share just another thing. So the code will be in a public repo, so you can get the code of the tag we showed you today, and we will give you also the slides we showed you today also. And for those who are looking for some you know, online courses or projects, you know, to train and to gain more experience in all these technologies, you can get back to us, to Datagram. We will be happy to share with you some resources we used to learn all this stuff, and you can share back with you guys. And we are also having a new project at Datagram. It's called Datagram University. So the goal is to create boot camps around core technologies, core concepts like Airflow, like Spark, like Cassandra, like Kafka. And these boot camps are open to everyone, whatever the level you are in. So there are many levels. Like level 1, it's non-boarding on the technology. Level 2, level 3, and you go until level 10, which is for advanced users. And it's like a video game. You know, the more you go, the harder it gets, and you have to, you know, to do a test before going to the next level. And it's completely free. And the good thing about that is that we have real world projects with real data, and we can help you guys improve your skills if you want to.
Oh, that's awesome. How can we, like, when can we know it, or how can we know about it when it launches?
Okay, so this is an exclusive, so we didn't tell it to anyone until now. So we will do an announcement in our LinkedIn page soon enough. I think it will be in the coming weeks. So Elias, you will be notified, of course. You can share back with the community. And we will share the announcement on our LinkedIn page.
Awesome. You heard the man, people. You heard the man. In a few weeks, Datagram on LinkedIn, be there. All right. So does anyone want to share something? And to close this session, if anyone still has any last question, any last feedback, any last remark, or if either of you have anything to say, Yasmin or Dali, especially to the Tunisian community, because they didn't know you yet. Well, Yasmin is already known in the community, but they will start to know you from now on. So I do hope that you can manage to collaborate in the future on more sessions, and be prepared. Our community will call you for other training sessions. So.
Sure, guys, and there are really a community to build in Tunis. Again, the data science community really needs more structuration and more people engaged and more companies. And here at Datagram, we take that very seriously. And in the coming weeks and months, we will share with you guys a lot of cool stuff, like boot camps with the Datagram University we talked about. We're gonna share, more talks like this one we did with PyData. Thanks again, Elias, for the invitation. We have a lot of nice, cool stuff to share, like ML ops, like big data analytics, a lot of cool stuff for the coming sessions. And And yeah, especially some open source technologies we want to open up and invite you guys to test our cool stuff we are developing at Datagram.
All right. Thank you so much. So thank you so much, Yasmin. Thank you so much, Mohamed Ali. Thank you so much, everyone who has stayed with us until this moment. With this,